What's up, TikTok?
What's up, TikTok? All right, so I'm here with Jake Zeman today, famous YouTuber. My idea was to kind of cover some of the concepts about Hyperledger Fabric. My channel is all about blockchain, Hyperledger Fabric. And I wanted to cover some of those concepts that you need to know before you actually start programming. I got Jake here who also works at IBM.
Yep.
He's doing marketing, so I thought we would have a conversation about blockchain. Not only to kind of teach everybody on this channel kind of what blockchain is, but also to help you understand as well, and just answer some of your questions that you maybe have and probably other people have as well.
Yeah, so I also work at IBM, but I work in marketing for a cloud division, so I understand blockchain at like a very high level, but I'm kind of going to represent the lay people that don't understand this technology that well. So we came up with some questions that are just more like high level, and hopefully you can, I guess, get a better understanding of the technology.
Exactly, yeah. So these kind of videos, we'll try to have a little series, kind of go from kind of the intro to cryptocurrency, intro to blockchain, all the way down to kind of more important topics that you should know before you start programming and before you start implementing something like this.
Cool. All right, so I guess first question, like, what actually is a blockchain?
Yeah, so this is kind of like the most important thing to understand. So blockchain is actually a data structure, and it's an immutable list of transactions, and it's maintained by a list of nodes, and these nodes are computers. So essentially what a blockchain is this, it's basically all these computers reaching agreement about what exactly is going to be put into this data structure, essentially.
So, like, I guess, like, what are use cases for that, and how are these computers, like, how are you actually agreeing?
Yeah.
Like, what does that look like?
So I guess before we get into the use cases, I guess we can talk a little bit about how this technology kind of happened, I guess. So I guess the biggest thing to understand is this is kind of an intersection of a few different technologies. So there is always cryptography, which is kind of encrypting and sending information across a network that may be intercepted. So cryptography is like securely sending messages over the internet, and that's a really big part of blockchain. The second part is the database, which is just a way of storing information. So the blockchain is storing information, but it's doing so securely over a network that may be intercepted. The third thing is it's decentralized. So that means you can transact peer-to-peer without going through a central institution. So that's kind of the three main aspects. So kind of the first use case of blockchain was Bitcoin. So that was the cryptocurrency that was started in 2009. This was started by a pseudo person called Satoshi Nakamoto. And this person essentially, he came up with this white paper that's now really famous, in which he described this cryptocurrency platform, and he showed exactly how it would be implemented. And now, there's this huge project on GitHub, which is like the most famous and most used code repository system. And basically, you can see the whole Bitcoin code, and you can use it. You can see how it works, and that's kind of the first use case. Basically, sending money through the internet peer to peer. So, like, if you wanted to send money across borders right now, you'd have to pay a pretty big transaction fee, maybe 10% or something like that. Yeah. One, because of currency exchange, but also because there's wire transfer fees and things like that.
How is there also a monetary, like, value attached?
Yeah, so that's...
Is that a completely different topic?
That is kind of a completely different topic.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, it's kind of weird that there is a monetary thing attached to it, right?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, all of this Bitcoin thing is just code. It's just literally someone that wrote this code, and he said that there's this arbitrary amount of Bitcoin, or he or she said that there's this arbitrary amount of Bitcoins, and this is how the network should react. And now it's become this whole hyped up thing.
That is kind of how money is, though.
Exactly.
Money is just an idea. It's
Exactly.
just a number in
Right.
a computer.
Exactly, and the way that this whole Bitcoin thing happened is it gained so much traction that now there is value associated with it because so many people have paid money to get these Bitcoins and are like you
Half
can
these
actually
people have no, like probably more than half have no idea what it is.
what it is, how to use it.
It's
Yeah,
just like, oh, Bitcoin, okay, I'll buy some.
exactly. So that was kind of the first major use case, Bitcoin.
Also, like, there are different types of cryptos, right?
Exactly.
So you got Bitcoin, Ethereum's another big one.
Yeah.
So what's the difference between Bitcoin versus Ethereum, or like
Yeah.
Bitcoin versus Litecoin?
So the main differences are it's essentially is really like the code of how the application is written.
Okay.
What that means is that the main differences are how you agree on the next transaction. So that's called like consensus, is basically all the computers agreeing on what the order of these. So in a Bitcoin network, the order is who is sending money to who. So who is sending Bitcoin to who, and you have to have that order all in sync, because if not, you can have someone that says they have 20 Bitcoin and they send 20 Bitcoin to two different people. And essentially that's called the double spending rule, where you need to solve that problem, because if you spend that 20 Bitcoin twice where you don't actually have more than 20 Bitcoin, then it's essentially like you're spending money you don't have. So that's also a really important factor, and the way to kind of solve that is this consensus mechanism. That's how you reach consensus on a network and how you add more information to the network. And Bitcoin has a specific way of doing so called proof of work. It's I'm not going to get super into the details now because we'll have a separate video for that. But Ethereum is working towards a different consensus mechanism. So it's a different way of approving transactions, and it's a little bit faster. And there's different aspects such as like how fast does it happen, exactly who needs to approve these transactions, stuff like that. Another big difference is that Ethereum has smart contracts associated with it, so you can use that platform to create applications on top of the cryptocurrency. So you can say, for example, you can have maybe, I don't know, an auction or a car auction or something that you can, instead of using US dollars, you would use the cryptocurrency, so that you do not have to go through banks, you don't have to go through all these intermediaries. So you can kind of build more applications on top of Ethereum, whereas Bitcoin, it's just a transaction system.
Was there